I know I was wrong. And USAID, Trump, all of it, his ability to get online and talk on camera and say wild things is impacting us abroad, African Americans abroad, Americans abroad. And in this video, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to share with you how I'm seeing Trump, his policies, and his rhetoric impact us living abroad, and eventually you, if you desire to live abroad. And if you stay toward the end of the video, I'm going to tell you how you can mitigate around some of these things. Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the live. If you're new to the live, I am Ashley. On my channel, Ashley in Africa, I share my experience of living, moving, and doing business on the continent of Africa. I currently live in South Africa. And I'm also the founder of Africa Investors Academy, which is a global community of entrepreneurs and investors doing business on the continent of Africa. And we have an upcoming event, the virtual summit, upcoming next month, March 14th to the 16th. And we're going to be sharing opportunities for investment and doing business here on the continent of Africa, because honestly, that's the only way that I see, and I've been saying this for the last 4 years, right? Or maybe 3 years on this channel. The only way you're going to be successful living abroad on the continent of Africa. All right. So if this content sounds interesting to you, like this video, share it with someone who finds value in it, and subscribe to the channel if you're into this type of thing. I miss y'all. It's been a minute, maybe about a week, but a while since I've been live, and I had to come on live because it's getting out of hand. And I want to talk with you all because I think a lot of people are terrified, right? And just a little bit stuck in that fear. All right. So come on to the live. Let me know where you're joining from, so I can greet you, say hello, like this video. Please like the video so that other people find out about it, so that they know I'm live. It's a little bit late. It's a little late. You know, guys, I usually don't come on this time, but I've been doing a lot of really awesome, exciting things, expanding the business. But I really am here to help and support this community. And we need to talk about this because time is of the essence, and we need to get our things in order. Okay, so hello, come onto the live. Let me know where you're joining from. Yeah, let me know where you're joining from. Dallas. Hi, F3 Holdings from Dallas. I know it's a lot going on, guys, and I want to talk to you. And if you stay till the end, I'm going to open up the call line so I can talk to you and I can hear from you and answer some questions. So go ahead and let me just share what life has been like since the last month or two, and how things happening even in the US are impacting us here over in South Africa. So I got folks from Chicago, you're welcome, Oklahoma, LA, Texas. Hi, Mr. Hillsman. Hello, don't need from USA. North Carolina, Dallas, that's what's up. Fantastic. You're welcome. Good evening. Yes, tuning in from London, Phoenix. Yes, fantastic. It is evening here in South Africa, and we got a lot to cover. I see Maryland, Alabama. Yes, you got to get your money up. You have to get your money up. This is not an option. Right? This is not an option. And we're going to get through it, right? We're going to talk through it. Toronto, Maryland, that's what's up, guys. You know, U.S. politics and foreign policy does impact the world, but I don't think in ways that people in America think it does, right? Yes, her first class life. Yes, I heard about you guys. I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. Her first class life purchased their condo through my business partner and our company together, Skyline Attorney Realtors, and we're building here. And that's what I want you to know, right? You've got to get your ducks in order to be on this side. And how are you going to do that? In several ways. We'll talk about that in a minute, but I want you to understand what's happening. Okay. So for those of you that don't know, I live currently in South Africa. I've been living in Africa for over 4 years, Johannesburg, South Africa for over 2 years, and I'm seeing it and it's happening. So I just came from dinner with some friends. 2 out of the 3 were American, and both of them were directly impacted by the cuts to USAID. They both work in healthcare, research, and disbursement of funds, and both of them were heavily impacted. One is actually furloughed, right? And the other has lost maybe about a third of his budget for the upcoming year, 2026 and beyond. And, initially, when I first heard the news, I knew that a lot of people were losing jobs, right? And it's one of the reasons why when people ask, oh, what are the jobs like? What are the jobs like there? How can I find a job? I don't recommend it because it is not a long-term strategy of living a successful life abroad. Now, luckily, both of these people that I spoke to, they're both financially pretty well off, right? They have great investments, they've got portfolios, real estate, and they're going to be just fine. But for hundreds, probably thousands of other Americans, over the last 2 weeks, they've been packing their bags and heading back to America begrudgingly. Begrudgingly. Like, these folks do not want to go back to the US. And so I would have invested. Yeah. So they are heading back. And while it saddens me what is happening to my fellow Americans living abroad, I also see it as an opportunity for those that have been here. They now see the opportunities. They now can develop strategies on how to do business and invest abroad here in Africa, because there isn't anybody that I know that is going back that is happy about it, right? People want to be here, and they essentially need to build something in order to do so. So, specifically here in South Africa, my research showed me that the USAID impact only, impacted maybe 17% of the overall healthcare research and support that South Africa is doing. And so, Ramaphosa, the President Cyril Ramaphosa, his response was like, okay, bye. And I think after that, President Trump then took it to another level, suggesting that white South Africans are being treated so poorly here in South Africa. And the response was pure comedy. I think we've seen a lot of responses, and I've linked a video in the description. Go ahead and watch that after this live, where you'll see white South Africans saying that they're quite happy. They're quite happy here. They have no interest in going to America, and they're good. But the question is, why would any of this happen, right? Why would he do any of this? Well, I've got my own theories. I discuss this with my members in the African Investors Academy, because those are places where we can really have really deep conversations. But nevertheless, what I learned with the USAID was what I've been saying, right? In order to be successful in Africa, if you want to do this, you've got to build something. And you've got to be building something now, wherever you are, to be earning an income so that you can sustain yourself long term. Okay, so let me jump into some of these questions. You guys are really, really active in the chat. Someone says, is crypto in Africa? Absolutely. South Africa is like the second most adoptive cryptocurrency currency market, or Bitcoin specifically, in the world. So yes, it's all over. Crypto is it on the blockchain, which is a global platform, right? So it's everywhere. Rand, you would have invested in BRICS and got, I would have invested in BRICS and got sanctions. I don't know what you mean, but let's talk about that, right? So when we hear about these sanctions that President Donald Trump has imposed on these countries, right? The only people that are really going to suffer from these sanctions are Americans and lower class Americans, under middle class, even all Americans, right? You are going to continue to see higher prices, increase in prices, increase in rent, right? This isn't a good look for America. And you'll continue to eat processed, fake foods that are being manufactured in labs. So last year, I think South Africa exported over, it was either 11 or $17 billion in goods to the US. If sanctions are imposed on South Africa, I mean, in the short term, there will be a little issue there, but over the long term, it's really only going to impact the US negatively. So I don't know that investing in BRICS is BRICS is the future, whether you comprehend it or not. This situation and what Trump is doing and kind of removing himself and creating these disruptions in his allies is only making China, Russia, the European Union support Africa even more, right? So US aid being pulled out is impacting very little on the continent of Africa. The same people that have been getting money from US aid have been doing so for decades. But when we look at what is happening with China, Russia, other BRICS countries, they're building infrastructure, schools, hospitals, roads, trains, like airports, right? So this is doing nothing but essentially making the relationships with BRICS, the BRICS alliance, it's fortifying it. Essentially, it's making it even stronger. I do think that things are going to get rocky before they get smooth. But essentially, I don't see this helping the US in any way outside of trying to find a way to unify Americans. And let me know if you're in the US, are you feeling unified? I want to hear from you. Let me know. Are you feeling unified? Go ahead and type in the comments. If you're feeling unified, I want to know. I really want to know. So let me know. So since I've been here in South Africa, and in Africa as a whole, I have really stretched my economic muscle and understanding geopolitics, understanding the emerging economies here, the emerging opportunities for growth and impact. And the only people that are really going to suffer from this is anybody that comes against the development of African leaders, right? And we're seeing, President Toure, we're seeing African leaders stand up to Western power saying, no, we will not be bullied by you guys. And we're not going to tolerate it. And this is exactly what Africa has been on the track to achieving, right? So it's only up, right? It's only up from here. It's only up from here. And so by being able to go into these spaces, working with the African Union, last week I was at the mining in Daba, attending the AGOA conference, attending the African Free Continental Trade Agreement conference. Like, Africa is good, right? Is it perfect? No. But the unification of these countries is happening. These leaders are willing to take a stand for what they know to be true. They are the richest continent. This is the richest continent. on earth. And it's been through some stuff, and we're going to continue to go through some stuff. But in the short term, this is really only going to impact, well, in the long term, it's really going to only impact negatively the US. Okay. All right. So go ahead. I see you guys in the comments. All right. I see you guys in the comments. So what do you guys think? What are you starting to see? If you're in the US, are you feeling more unified as Americans? Is America great again? I know it's only been a month, but he's doing a lot. He's cutting a lot of executive orders. He's getting people together. Let me know if you're feeling good, for all of you guys that voted for him. You know, and if you're living abroad, are you feeling the impacts? I want to know. If you're living abroad and you're in the comments, let me know if you're feeling the impact. I definitely want to see you, and hopefully can bring you up later. But let me know if you're feeling like it's going to make it harder. I do think that Trump being on the media, you know, like, it was one of those things I really didn't even want to touch on, because everybody's talking about Trump, and Trump loves that. He loves people talking about him. But the truth is that because he's all over the media, people are, even in South Africa, I'm starting to feel it, right? I'm starting to see that, you know, what he's saying is impacting my life as an American here. I'm not aligned on all of his values and his positions. It's, you know, if I were, I'd be living in America. I'm very clear on my values and why I decided to move outside of America. But as an American, you just will constantly kind of carry all of that on. And you know, I'm grateful that I was born there. I just don't want to live there. And you know, I'm not interested in being associated with his policy, but as an American, that is by a default. And so it's our opportunity to really forge strong relationships with South Africans, other Africans, and integrate. One of my favorite people on the internet, the African superstar, she's great. And she says, like, you know, the only way you're going to be successful is if you integrate. If you're sitting around with a bunch of other people in a country and complaining about what's happening, and you're not building anything, you're not integrating, you're not learning the language, you're not understanding the culture, you're not finding empathy, you're not volunteering, you're not doing any of that, you're not going to enjoy it. You may be able to take advantage of the, you know, dollar power in your little, you know, bubble, in your little estate. But if you're not actively integrating, you're not going to be successful. So let's talk a little bit about, I've already talked about that, what USAID does. And I want to go ahead and jump in. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and put the word question before your question so that I know. If you've already asked it, you guys are going wild in the comments. I love to see it. Make sure that you're liking the video. Let me go ahead and check out how many likes we have. Let's get the likes up. We've got 170 people in the room. We should have at least 100 likes. We've got 170 people in the room. We should have it. All right, so we got 56. So let's get up to 100 likes, please, before we go on to the next topic. Before I answer any questions, I need to see 100 likes in here, guys. So before we get to any questions, I need to see 100 likes. Thanks. And some super chats. If you're finding this valuable, go ahead and like this, share this with someone. Support the stream, support it. The easiest free way is to like it, right? But if you're finding value, go ahead and drop a super chat. But if you do have questions, go ahead and put the word question before your question, and I'll answer it. But I won't be answering it till we get to 100 likes. We're at about 80. So go ahead and get the likes up, and we'll come back. Let me see if I can get a little commercial break, because I want to answer some of your questions and I want to bring some of you up. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Edgy. Thank you. Thank you so much for the super sticker. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. I appreciate you guys. And I really want this to be a conversation, a dialogue, not a monologue. So we can connect, because it's been a while, and this is a rare occasion that I'm up doing live with you guys. So I want to, let's see, we're gonna have an intermission until we get the lights up. We're still not there. We're still not there, guys. So I need to get the lights up. We've got a special sponsor for the stream. I'm really excited to share. South Africa. So we are actually going to be doing a trip to the to Johannesburg, a travel, move, do business live and in person. So for those of you that know that I did this last year, I want you to come. We want you here. We want you to come visit, because you need to visit. The best way to get here is to make a visit here. And I partnered with the Real South Africa. I traveled with them on my first trip to South Africa, and it changed my life. Obviously, 3 years later, I'm living here in South Africa, and I want to support you to do the same. So if you want, please go ahead to the link in the description, get on the mailing list to hear about when that trip is going to be. We're only taking a limited amount of guests, right? This is going to be a very curated event, no more than 20 people. I think we've already got about 100 people on the waiting list that are on my email list already that heard about it, and they're going to be joining us in the fall. So that's the American fall, going into the summer here in South Africa. So we cannot wait to see you there. Shout out to the Real South Africa for supporting the channel and supporting our work and collaborating. We're always collaborating, and I'm super thankful to be working with them. They're great partners. Thank you so much, Dahomey 1804, for the super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are amazing. So I'm gonna jump in. Yes, we've hit 114 likes. Thank you, family. We're at 170 people in the chat, so please continue to like this. If you're finding value and you haven't hit the like button, why not? Go ahead and hit the like button. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into these questions. Let's see. House of Goddess says, please, how is the crime in South Africa, particularly Durban? The SA News can be a little nerve-wracking. You know, crime is something that exists everywhere. But I find that coming from the US, which is a very violent country, jam-packed with crime, right? Like mass shootings daily. It's hard for me to compare the two. There is crime, right? Wherever there is inequality, there will be crime. And is it around? Absolutely. But to your point, the news can be unnerving, and that's the news's job. The news's job is to create emotional reactions that live with you forever. So they tend to evoke fear. They tend to evoke rage and oftentimes anxiety. And what does that do? It keeps you kind of in a state of paralysis, in a state of fear, and often a state of consumption, right? And division. So I just want you to be aware of that, right? Where do you live currently in the US, and why are you consuming something that is in opposition of what makes you feel good, right? So if it doesn't make you feel good, why are you consuming it? Question. That's just my genuine question. I'm curious. All right. So I've been here for 2.5 years. I've not personally been a victim of crime, but I also, if you're new here, if you know me, I am really good at creating assurance, having a level of conviction that I'm protected, that I'm covered. And so I move with that energy, and I don't do things that would put me in harm's way. I don't go to places where I would be uncomfortable, that don't provide me with a level of safety, right? So that's just my position. Thank you for asking that question. Okay, let's see. Tim Moore says we're more divided than ever here in the US. This is one of the reasons I'm moving to Durban. He says not the main reason. I like that, Tim. Question. Can you give my point of view on Elon's role and mission in the White House as a South African? No. I'm not a white man, billionaire. But I do think that if we know anything, America for the longest time has been run by corporations, right? In the form of lobbying. So if you're American and you have any awareness around civics and how civics works, the USDA, Big Pharma, all of these, corporations have been running America for ever, right? America was founded as a corporation, as an entity to grow and manufacture and create and sell and export. And I think Elon is just the one that is willing to come to the forefront and put a face. A lot of times these corporations have been faceless. We didn't know who was at the head of, the USDA or the CEO of these, Aflac, or these big insurance companies, or these big food companies or medical companies. We didn't know the faces of these folks until recently, right? Mark Zuckerberg, Bezos, Steve Jobs, right? Like, these guys started to come out and wanted to be known. Their faces, they wanted to be known as the entrepreneurs and the faces of their brand. And Elon just wants you to know. He wants you to know that when it came out that he was contributing $30 million a day to the Donald Trump campaign, I knew it was a wrap. Like, campaigns are It's not a power outage. Someone called on my other phone. I got a couple cameras going on in here. So let me see what's happening. Uh-oh. Let me see what's happening. Okay. Give me a minute. All right. Talk about it. Thanks for being patient with me, guys. All right, we're back. Can you hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. That was fun. No, someone called and I have the Bluetooth connected for audio. So put a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Perfect. No, there was no power outage. Y'all are like, uh-oh. Yeah, it works like that. So we're moving fast. Appreciate you. Thank you guys for bearing with me on the stream. All right, so let me get back to the questions. I can't. So yes, I can't speak up on Elon and his decision. Let me see what's happening here. All right, the lights are doing good. Fantastic. You guys are amazing. Y'all are so hilarious. I love it. Question from Isaiah. How do I feel about the colored people supporting the racist white people in South Africa? I don't know that that's true. I don't know that colored people support racists. So I don't feel a way about that at all. Question, do you have any connections or know anything about the Republic of Benin? I'm interested in repatriating there. I don't. Sorry, I don't, but you should plan a trip. Plan a trip there, build your own connections. Book a flight, head over, join a couple of chambers of commerce, do your research on LinkedIn, see if you can connect with people on LinkedIn, on Instagram, and head on over and make your trip long enough so that you can spend time in that country to be able to make some relationships. Google what type of events are happening in your industry or an industry you're interested in Benin and book a trip there. Question, have you heard about the interview Trump had a conversation with India Prime Minister about oil and Trump is going to give him weapons? No, I did not hear about that. And I'm not sure how good weapons are. Like, wars are not fought with actual physical weapons anymore, unless you're fighting against your own people, which America does really well at. But wars are not fought with physical weapons, guys. We are in 2025. Wars are being fought digitally, nuclearly, right? So, yeah, that's something we've got to, let's expand our minds there. Let me see. More questions. Do apply with Coop's Corner. He's in Joburg right now. Okay, cool. Question. How progressive do you believe South Africa or Africa as a whole has become business-wise? Very progressive. I was just at a conference last week, 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about multi-billion-dollar investments. Sis, like, Africa has been progressing. I met someone that I had lunch with somebody who was $500 million net worth, right? Like, we have to get out of the mindset that people in Africa don't have money, that Africa is not wealthy or rich. This is the richest continent in the world, on earth. It is the richest continent. People closest to the problem, solving huge problems, right? We have to get out of that mindset that business is not being done. Now, is it being done in the same way that you're used to doing business in the US? No, because it's not the US. And every single country is different. So how business is done in Tanzania is done differently in South Africa, is done differently in Ghana, is done differently in Egypt, it's done differently in Mauritius. You have to decide what is important to you, what level of risk you're ready to take, and what type of lifestyle you want to lead while you're in the process of taking that risk, right? So for many of you, I am doing business in both South Africa and Tanzania. It was really hard for me to get my business, up and running in Tanzania because I wasn't learning Swahili that fast. There was a big culture shock for me, but I love Tanzania. And 4 years later, I'm still doing business there, but I came to a place where my business and professional acumen could move a bit faster and I would be received a bit better. English is spoken, so I can do business transactions and speak English. And, my American experience translates very well here in South Africa. So I'm doing business in both countries right now and I'm expanding to more countries this year. We have to recognize the money, the wealth is being created here, right? I'm not sure about that in the US anymore, right? Are people getting money? Absolutely. But when we talk about wealth creation, it's also connected to family. One of the biggest challenges that Americans are experiencing right now is the dismemberment of family. You cannot build wealth without building families. And Africa is still a continent where family is valued. It's valued. So there is not the same friction that we're experiencing in the West of this complete breakdown of family. All right. So that was my long answer to your question. But is Africa progressive for business? Oh, absolutely, sis. Absolutely. If you have a question, go ahead and write the word question before your question so I can see, because you guys are really, really active in the chat. And I've scrolled all the way up. It's not the electricity, right? It just went dark. That was on me, guys. Sorry. How is the power situation in SA as a remote worker? It's critical. So we just experienced load shedding for the first time in months last week. I was in Cape Town and we experienced it. So the privatization of a lot of utilities is important. So people are getting inverters, which are basically batteries that will be charged while you have power, so that when you don't have power, you have a battery that has power to power everything in your house. Typically everything minus maybe really, really big things like ovens. But people with that need of Wi-Fi, you can buy a router that has a battery in it so that it's always available. As a remote worker, yes, it's really important that you do your research, but I take power outages any day over some of the other challenges that are happening in the US. So are there some power outages? Yeah, absolutely. But is it life or death? No, absolutely not. Next question. Do I have any connection? No, that was Benin. Have I heard about the interview? No, I passed that. All right. Hi, Sia says, yes, Black people are definitely coming together. We are learning that no other race will team with us. We are supporting only our race now. Really? Is that true? If that's true, leave a number 2 in the chat, because I could have just sworn that, well, never mind. Drew Branch says, I was in Joburg 2 years ago. It was a power outage. Yeah, 2 years ago. So the what was it? The conference on power. I wrote about this on my email list. If you're not signed up for my email list, go ahead and click the link in the description. Get on my email list so you'll find out about upcoming trip, the Travel Move Do Business South Africa Live trip happening in the fall. And you'll hear about the updates that I'm sharing. So Africa is on track to power 300 million homes by 2030, right? So the power issue is an issue, but it's evolving. And if you live in a major metropolitan city like I do here in Johannesburg, you experience it less. Cape Town, Nairobi, but you have to weigh your why. Is your why, and is a power outage for an hour a day max, which it's rarely ever that long, is that going to keep you from your why? And if that's yes, that's okay, but then it may just not be for you. All right. Question, are there decent paying jobs there, particularly in project management? If you're looking for a job, you will not be successful here in Africa. Period. That's just it. What can you build? What are you building now that can be a solution, be a value add for where you're coming on the continent? Like, this is one of the things that it blows my mind that in 2025, guys, we're still thinking that jobs are going to sustain our future. They're not. And if you're in the US, you actively see the labor market is at an all-time low. There's jobs available on LinkedIn, but they're not real jobs because nobody's getting hired for them. If you're looking for a job in 2025, I'm praying for you and your family because you've got to build something. A job is never going to give you the financial independence and freedom it's going to take for us to go into this next time. But I've got great news. This is the best time ever in the history of our lifetime where we can earn an income through a digital platform from anywhere and everywhere in the world. It's the best time ever in history. Whether you have an education or you don't have a formal education, you can employ yourself and build an income and build a business and build a life anywhere in the world, right? So I just want you to know, like, if you are not building something, you're not going to be successful, whether that's Africa or even where you are in your current home country. I want to encourage you guys. You're on the internet looking at me. There is so much valuable information on how you can do this. I teach this to the community in my Africa Investors Academy. I'm teaching them how to build a business now wherever they are, so that then when they move abroad, they can have additional income to invest and do additional businesses, because a job is not it. It's just over broke. Okay. Because when that job is over with, you're going to have to head back. Right. And that is not freedom. That is not what we're doing. That's not what we're really looking for. Okay. Nomadic AL says, what visa did you acquire when you first moved to South Africa? I took a discovery trip last month and exploring my visa options. So the business visa is the best. I mean, it's a great visa. It's a hard visa to get. But if you've got a great business idea, it falls into the critical skill set, you can be successful in acquiring a visa. But there's tons of options. If you're interested in getting support with your visa, you definitely want to get on my calendar. I consult people on a regular basis on how to get the best visa for them. And then I work with a credible agency that is a very high success rate of acquiring visas. But there's tons of options, but I will say that they're getting more difficult to access as people's skill sets are not as high as they think they are. People think that just being an American and leaving America and going to a new country makes you qualified enough to access a visa abroad. It doesn't. You've got to have a critical skill set. You've got to have a great background and a great trajectory, right? So if you're looking for a job, a work visa, it's not it. If you're looking even for critical skills, right? There are some critical skills and some necessities of need here in South Africa, but for the most part, your best bet is to come over here as an independent worker, whether on a nomadic visa or a business visa, and make it shake and make something happen. All right, so we're at 173 likes. I want to get the likes up to 200. We've got over 250 people in the chat. If you're finding value in this, like this at the very least, or support the stream with the super chat. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to come up online, I'm going to drop the link in the description, but I also want to give you a couple of tips on how you can, be successful in this thing, because it's getting harder. So I was just on a call with a client last week, and the backlog for getting passports, right, is it's thick, it's long. So get a passport. Get your passport. Everybody on this live stream should have a passport. If you have a passport, put a world emoji, the Africa world emoji in the chat. I want to know how many of my people are ready to go with your passport, because if you don't have a passport, what are we doing? Get your passports. Put a world emoji in the chat. The one with the Africa in it. I want to see how many people in my community are ready to go. You got your passport. Put the Africa emoji, get your life, has it right. This is what I want to see. I want to see this. I want to see that Africa emoji. Yes, Jace. If you have your passport, let's go. And if you don't, I want to know why. Why don't you have your passport? Right? Why don't you have your passport, guys? You need to have your passport. Yes, Felicia. Yes, Janelle. Absolutely. Let's go. Get your life. Where are my people with my passports? And what's the problem? If you don't have it, I need to know. I need to know what's happening. And let's get the likes up to 200 before we go on into any more questions. All right. Yes. Yes. This is what I'm talking about. Yes, Cover Girl. Yes, Nomadic Al. Yes. Yes, Tana Rose. Eugene. Greta Midlife Money Moves. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fantastic. So someone did ask about Tesla. There are no Teslas here, but there are some BMW i3s. I used to have a BMW i3 and I got really excited when I saw them here because I love an electric vehicle. But those folks that have electric vehicles, they have alternative power that they're charging their vehicles at. So yes, thank you for getting the likes to 200 likes. Thank you so much. So for you guys that don't have your passport, why don't you have it? There's over 250 people and I only saw maybe about 30 people with their passport. So what's going on? Jesse says passport is expired, renewing. You need to be at the office tomorrow, Jesse. Why is your passport not valid? Every single person needs to have a valid passport. If you're tuned into my channel, you already know what's going on. You already know the desire in your heart is telling you something ain't right. There is no reason why you do not have your passport. Let's get it together. And I get it. Things can get overwhelming. It can feel daunting. It can feel like a lot of paperwork. You need to have your passport, guys. There's no excuse for that. Absolutely no excuse. So tell me how to pronounce this, sis. Saditrika? I think. Question, I was going to get a TEFL certification to teach English as a foreign language. Do you know of anyone teaching English as a foreign language there? And is it needed? No, people speak English here. So that's a no. But you can teach English for free online. You don't need a certification to do that. Google how to teach English online. You can do that without a certification. You're welcome. You're welcome, my sis. But South Africa does not need you to teach English. Now, maybe if you were into the rural areas to do so, but you would be doing so as a volunteer. And I wouldn't even recommend that because I don't think that it is something that people are really interested in. And essentially it can be done online. So go ahead and Google how to do it online. Question, can you renew passports in Africa? Absolutely. I renewed mine before the election. I said, let me go ahead and renew our passports, my family's passports before anything. Let me just make sure we're good. You never know. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I renewed ours in December because why not? There are embassies here and you can do that. Made sure my son got their passport. Absolutely. My daughter gave me her $2, no money. I don't know what that means. I'd feel naked without a passport. Luxury bucket list. I'd feel naked without a passport too. So I want to know why you guys don't have your passport. Cover girl as long as you have a valid passport. Thank you for English teaching question. Can you sustain for transition funds? Can what sustain for transition funds? Let me know. Again, if you have a question, go ahead and put the word question before your question so I can see, because y'all are very active in the chat and I love that. And there, Janelle, thank you so much for your super sticker. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. If I missed your question, ask it again, please, because this chat is moving fast and I need to see that it again. All right. Getting certified, guys. You don't need to get a certification. You can teach English online for free without a certification. You just have to complete some online training sometimes or not. I mean, I know people that have been teaching online English and I didn't necessarily think they had the best English anyway, but they were still making money online. Now I need to get 2 more passports. All right. Okay, so if I missed your question, go ahead and ask it again because you guys are really, really active in the chat. So if you're serious about thriving as an American abroad, you've got to get, 1, your passport, but you've got to have your money in order. Don't come here looking for a job. You should be building something wherever you are, whether that's an investment account, whether that's a crypto account, whether that's a whatever, 401. You should have something. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. So if you don't have a substantial amount of money to make it work or ongoing income to make it work, you're not going to be successful. So I'm not even going to sell you that dream and tell you to come over here if that is what you're going to do. But if you want to be successful, join our academy, the Africa Investors Academy virtual summit that's coming up in March. You want to join that. This is not for people that don't have any money put away. I'm just going to tell you, this is for people that have been professional or financially disciplined. They've got some savings. They've got some investments working for them. They understand the value of long-term investing, right? They're willing to take some risks. They're interested in doing business and investing on the continent. They're just not really sure how to get started. So we're going to be talking about tourism because Africa's tourism is up double digits and is expected to continue to increase, right? Social media has helped that, dispelling the narrative and the myth of being unsafe and it being kind of a jungle over here. No, Africa tourism it's up. It's there's luxury. There's, there are 4 seasons here. There are the Hyatts, the Hiltons, right? But there are Black owned luxury tourist destinations all over this continent, right? If you're interested in agriculture and exporting, if you're interested in real estate, right? Purchasing property, whether it's a second home or retirement home or tourism driven asset, you're going to want to join us. If you're interested in learning about the mining industry, guys, if you're on my email list, you saw what I was learning at the mining in Daba last week, where there were almost 10,000 people that attended this event from all over the world, recognizing that Africa is the least explored continent, but the most rich continent in minerals, and how to do that sustainably in a way that is environmentally sensitive. Because what is happening in the DRC is a tragedy, and the people that are surrounding that are literally going to deal with karma for the rest of their legacy, right? And it doesn't have to look that way. But there will be, the industry is growing here because energy is needed all over the world. And minerals like lithium and copper are at the top of that list, right? Gold, diamonds, yeah, that's cool. But when you start getting uranium, lithium, copper, iron ore, these minerals are multi-billion-dollar industries that are looking for highly qualified and highly educated and astute investors, right? Not meaning PhDs and certifications. No, if you recognize what is happening in this world and you have the bandwidth to be a futurist, a future thinker, and recognizing like, oh, this is what the country, this is what the world needs, and I'm willing to invest and take a risk, you're going to be successful, right? So if you also have an interest in what we say, tourism, real estate, agriculture, mining, those industries and creative industries, if you're a creator, music, art, content, film, fashion, you're going to want to attend the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. If you don't have 6 figures to invest, this isn't for you. Sorry to tell you, maybe 5, because there are some smaller investments you can make, but essentially you've got to be ready to take some risks and inject some capital into your future and the future legacy of the continent. So if you're coming and you're trying to look for a job, that's not it. But also, if you want to hear from successful diaspora that have returned, people that have lived abroad, you know, people that were born in the US, born in the UK, or born on the continent and moved abroad thinking they were going for a better life. They moved back and they built something. They're going to tell you how they did it and how maybe they didn't start with 5 figures of an investment, how they slowly worked themselves up to that, but they had income or they made a way and they were resilient. Then absolutely, you want to join us. But if you can barely figure out how to get to next month, this isn't for you, okay? And if you're struggling, this isn't for you. I'm sorry, but we've got to be able to find financial discipline. And I get it. Things are going up. The price is going up. This is only going to get more challenging for you if you're in the US. And I want you guys to know that there is hope and there is opportunity, but you've got to shift our mindset to recognizing that if we want to bear the reward of what is possible, we're going to have to take some risks and we're going to have to invest in ourselves and invest in the people that are doing the groundwork to be able to help us be successful. Because there wasn't any of this when I was getting started, when I moved here to do business and I failed and I lost over $10,000, probably more than that, more like 50,000, because I didn't know what I was doing. But if you want to learn from vetted experts that I've personally vetted myself that have successful projects, right? They don't just have an idea. They've got successful projects. They've been bringing in revenue. They've been here for over a few years, 5 years collectively. Everybody that's going to be speaking at the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit, collectively, we've all been here on the continent for maybe about 60 years. All right. And if you want to learn from us, then you need to join. Okay. The link is in the description. You are going to get resources, tools, strategies, contacts to help you navigate life here on the continent of Africa. Okay. So click the link in the description to join us March 14th through the 16th. It's going to be held 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you purchase the Executive Access Pass, don't worry about being there live. You're going to get the free recordings for up to a year. You'll have the recordings and you'll be able to have them, access them, replay them. I recommend purchasing that anyway. If you're going to join us live, you want to be able to have them in your arsenal because repetition is key. There's going to be so much information that you're going to want to replay this content over and over and over. And you're going to want to connect with these experts because people that are going to be joining us at the summit are successful and they're only getting bigger. All right, so go ahead and grab your tickets. We're going to discuss everything from global politics, how to invest in brics, and some practical tips based on people that have done it and they've been successful. All right. So I'm going to head back to the questions and then I'm going to bring some of you guys up on stage. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Let me go ahead and let's bring up, how do I invite you guys? Okay, copy. There's the link if you want to join the stream. Can you see the link, guys? All right, fantastic. All right, I'm going to jump into the questions. If you want to join the stream, I need you to have your camera on so that, there we go, so that I can see you and make sure that you're a real person. But I definitely want to hear from you guys. So let me jump back into the questions. All right. Please stay ready. Get your passports. Felicia asked about the dating scene. You've outgrown America's dating scene and the strategic divide of sexes. The dating scene is fabulous. Fabulous. But are you fabulous? What are you like? Are you the person that you're looking to attract? Is the person that you're looking to attract, would they want to date you? Is the question. Felicia, because it's fabulous. Are you ready to be in a fabulous place to date fantastic, family-centered men? I think as American women, we have a lot of abrasiveness sometimes, right? We've grown up and we've had to matriculate and survive in an environment that was committed to our destruction, right? Committed to tearing us down, tearing us apart. There's a lot of healing that we have to do as women in order to be ready to receive the love and the care and the admiration. Or else we'll just attract the same guy in a different form once we get to this side, right? So a lot of work is really required for American women when we leave America. So my recommendation is, sis, get out and heal, right? Take your time. I'm not saying take forever, right? But just recognize that this is a different culture. Every country has a different culture, and there are going to be things that are admirable about your culture, but there are also going to be things that may clash, right? So just be aware of that. But fabulous. It's lovely. It's lovely. And I'm single and I'm dating and it's fantastic. And I've been learning that as well. Okay. I love that question. I just went on 2 dates last week and I have another one coming up this week. So I'm excited. The luxury bucket list. What would you say is a comfortable salary to live in South Africa? I've heard more than $32,000 a year is the global 1%. I think many of us can manage that. Yeah, I mean, but it's also about your lifestyle. So it depends. If you are making, you know, if you're making over $30,000, yes, you're in the top 1%, but you need to understand what the cost of living is going to look like for you. Just because that's the global average or the global metric, does that mean you'll be comfortable at that number? Right? So yes, you may be able to manage, but are we in the life of managing, or are we in the life of thriving? Are we choosing to survive, or are we choosing to thrive? Right? That's the question. Get Your Life. Thank you so much for your super chat and for bringing it up to the top. I will answer that one. How is the transition with your kids and finding a banking institution? So my kids love it here. If you have children in the US, you absolutely need to be considering moving out for them, because it's not a safe environment for children in our home country, right? But my kids love it here. They're thriving. They are able to run around freely. I don't have to constantly be on edge whenever they're out of my sight. You know, they're great. They love it. They're thriving. A banking institution, also very easy. Not every country do you need to have an actual physical bank. When I was in Tanzania, I didn't need a bank because of the monetary system called M-Pesa, which was basically, if you had a phone number, you had a bank account. It was kind of used as a bank account. So it was a way that banking was democratized for people that may have lived in rural areas that couldn't travel to places that had banks. But here in South Africa, I mean, banks are available everywhere. You can get a bank account very easily as long as you have a valid passport. Even if you're not a permanent resident here, you can get access to that. So thank you for that question. And thank you for that super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Let me head up. Anybody in the background? Okay, let me see. Yes, Jace, I'll be coming right to you. Thank you for joining. Question. What do you think about Trump granting refugee status to white South Africans? Do you think white South Africans are being discriminated against in South Africa? No, they're not being discriminated against because they're white. South Africa, like many African countries, is a class system, right? Now, are there race challenges? Absolutely. But white South Africans being discriminated against because they're white? No, I wouldn't agree with that. Now, equality looks like punishment when you're used to being superior, right? So in that case, potentially, but no, that's my position. Let me see. South Africa safer than the US. Absolutely, Spencer. Square pants. It is 1,000%. I do, because I live here and you live in America. You don't live here. Absolutely. Nomadic AL says, can I rent an apartment house in South Africa on my tourist visa, or would Airbnb better option for a long-term stay for my transition? You can do both. You can do both. Some landlords won't rent to you unless you have a permanent visa, but some will. So it just depends on your financial situation. I always recommend an Airbnb in the beginning before you move, so you figure out where you want to live. But if your income is substantial and you can afford to pay in advance, everything is negotiable, right? Everything is negotiable in Africa. Are white Americans also moving to Cape Town? White Americans are moving all over Africa. White Americans are moving to Ghana, they're moving to Kenya, they're moving to Tanzania, they're moving to Senegal, they're moving to Mauritius, they're moving to Madagascar, they're moving to South Africa, they're moving to Botswana. White Africans are moving to Africa as a whole. Okay? Absolutely. Good news is that Africa is Karen's free. No, it's not. It's absolutely not. Wrong. I lived in SA for 3 years. Beautiful country, but not safer than the US. Okay. And scene. All right. Wonderful. So let's go ahead and let's bring up Jay's. If you want to, let me go ahead and put the link again in the description. I should pin it. Let me see if I can pin it. I don't know how to pin it. All right. Hi, Jace.
Hello. How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Little cold here in Atlanta.
Oh, in Atlanta. I bet
Yeah.
it's cold. Thank you for
It's chilly.
joining.
Oh yeah, no problem.
What's up? What's your question?
Oh yeah. So basically, I was curious about the trucking industry there. Uh, is there like a market for like transportation or delivery services or anything like that out there?
Absolutely. So are you speaking specifically of South Africa?
Yeah, specifically.
Yeah. So I think South Africa is one of the most developed countries in Africa, but logistics is still a huge market.
Okay.
So you've got same day delivery options, right? We've got things like there's Uber, there's Uber Eats, there's Amazon has launched here. So it's absolutely something. I'd say there's a bit more barriers to entry in South Africa because it's a well-established industry. You've got a lot of people already doing it, but it is available, right? One of the things I don't see a lot, you kind of see bikers, right, with the little delivery sizes, or like the big 18-wheelers. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
But nothing in between.
Okay.
So like those mid-sized vans that can ship things like, packages or flowers or, different things like that.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. So I think that's a huge opportunity, but transportation, huge business. Logistics, supply chain, that's one of the logistics piece is one of the biggest missing gaps. But when you look at even in the region, so what I also tell people is like, don't always focus just on the country, look at the region. And one of the great things about South Africa, it's in the SADC region, Southern I forgot what the DC stands for. Someone in the chat gather me. But the roads are great and the infrastructure is great in the SADC region. So you can look at expanding not just, in South Africa, but even in the region.
Absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
a great opportunity.
Okay. Well, good. I was trying to think of something else I can do. I know that job market there, as far as, I know that's a little different. You've already explained that. So yeah, I would love to obtain my freedom at some point.
Yes, I want it for
Absolutely.
you. You
Yeah.
deserve it.
You got that right. I want to get out. Hey, everything you're saying is absolutely true. And over here, it is definitely getting kind of sticky over here. And it's like, at any minute, I'm like, okay, at what point is it gonna get to, to where I'm gonna get to a point where I'm like, okay, I need to bounce. I need to get out of here. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's getting to that point.
Yeah. All right. What industry are you in now?
Project management and construction. So
Okay.
working for a company though.
I'm sure you've learned some amazing things and you've contributed to the growth of that company.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And have you considered maybe consulting and maybe building something on the side, like a side consulting business where you could
Uh,
maybe contribute to other corporations and earn some side income and start maybe building out some strategic blueprints that you could sell digitally?
I have not thought of that. So that is a very good thing to think about. I don't really
Yeah.
know what all entails as far as being a consultant. I've never
Okay.
done it before, so I wouldn't even know where to start at with that. So
Well, if you're interested in learning, I love helping people take their expertise to
hmm
build into a location independent job or career, like consulting. I teach
yeah,
that in the academy. Currently, we're closed for enrollment, but we'll be opening up shortly. So the
okay,
link is in the description. If you're on the email list, you'll hear about when we open up.
okay.
And it's not as hard as you think. You can literally do it with zero money. You don't need a website. You don't need a domain name. You can literally use the free platforms that are already out there to
hmm
build your business and start earning income within 30 days.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely look into that. So, but thank you for answering my
Yeah.
question.
You're welcome, Jace. Thank you for coming up.
You are so welcome.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
See you.
Awesome. Let's bring up Roy. Hi, Roy.
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Good. I can hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. Oh,
Good to see you.
you also again. Thank you. So this is
Yes.
this is great.
Is that my connection? Sorry, we lost you for a moment.
It's probably I'm in Mexico, so
I know.
my connection might be a little bit slow. I apologize.
Okay.
Sorry. All right.
Wonderful. What's your question?
So my question is, how is locating local talent or hiring local talent in South Africa? Um, education wise, I know there's some very smart people there, but I wanted to know how the talent pool is.
So I'd say um very talented, highly skilled talent pool.
Okay.
I think the challenge that South African youth face, um, like, in the US, we kind of learn, we had summer jobs in high school, maybe even in college, we could get like jobs on campus or internships and things like that when we were younger. I don't know. That was me. And that is not something that South Africans are familiar with. So like a summer job when you're a teenager, like as an actual at an actual company, is just not common. So the challenge is you've got tons of highly educated master degrees, juris doctors, that have the education, but they don't have the work experience. So when people are looking to hire and they're looking for experience, these folks are super talented, but they don't have work experience. Oftentimes, this is typically the younger people, right? Like 25 and under, when people are looking at those folks. And then some of the folks that are, have maybe worked in an organization, if they work for American companies, what I'm hearing American companies complain about are some of the soft skills that we just learn in the US. And we're not in the US. So we have to be able to be willing to train and explain our processes. So at Skyline Attorney Realtors, we were able to recruit like 25 attorneys, candidate attorneys, to be able to sell real estate in South Africa. And we've had to train them with 6 months training, development, mentoring, coaching. And we'll probably, some of them, may accelerate faster than others. But essentially, you've got to be really willing to, if you have a business and you want to hire, you're going to have to invest a lot of time in training the talent to be able to work in the ways that you're accustomed to, while also having empathy and compassion to recognize that we're in a different culture. So there are going to be certain things that we have to adjust. I know in different parts of Africa, if somebody dies, like if they pass away, you could say goodbye to your employee for a week to 2 weeks, those type of things. Very normal. It don't matter if it was a close family member or somebody in the community. Like those things are kind of typical. But yeah, talent, absolutely, it's here. That's why I really focus on us building businesses so that we can be able to hire, mentor and train talent, versus looking for a job that would essentially take a job away from somebody that's super highly skilled.
Yeah, it makes sense because that's the challenge that I ran into in Mexico. Here is the human capital portion of it. However, most people are willing to learn. It's just having the time when you already have a potential contract and you need to go, go, go. Then that upskill training is a bit challenging. So thank you for that answer. I really appreciate that. That gave me a lot of what I need to do to move to my next steps. You're awesome.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And there are people in the comments answering your question as well. So feel free to take a look over there. And thank you again for your message. I did get your message. Thank you for understanding. Yeah, I'm really excited about us, an opportunity to work together. But I'm happy that, the content is still resonating and it's impactful and you're finding value in it. So I appreciate you joining the stream.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, fantastic. Thanks, Roy.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Awesome. So anyone else want to join the live? Let's see. Any other questions? If you have a question, put the word question before your question. Yes. Foreign investment is very welcome. The Tubman Foundation, Tolbert Foundation, are biased towards African Americans. All right, guys. All right. Let me get to, are you guys finding value in this? Go ahead and put a 1 in the chat if you're finding value in the stream. I appreciate it. We got 274 of you guys. Should I do this every week? Guys, Penelope has been in here like 3 times. She's like, Mom, what's happening? Typically she would be asleep, but because we're doing this, she's awake because this behind here is her bedroom. Wonderful. Michelle says, how much is the Academy? Well, currently the Academy is closed, but if you attend the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit and you purchase an executive access pass, you will get access to the Academy for 1 month complimentary. So you will get to see what we talk about in the Academy. We've got a YouTube masterclass upcoming. We are going to be releasing the Travel, Move, Do Business South Africa live summit, curated by the Real South Africa. they're going to be the first to get access to that trip. So if you purchase the executive access pass, you have an option to opt in for a free month complimentary with your ticket to the Africa Investors Academy so that you can see what it's all about. But it is an investment, and you can also see once you join, our community members constantly post updates on how much value they're finding in the community. So we would love to have you in there. Thank you so much, Wisdom, for the compliments and the glow. Thank you, guys. Felicia asks, I don't know if this was answered, but what is the dating scene? Yes, sis, we talked about it. We talked about it. What country on the continent could I enter without a visa? You cannot. So South Africa, you can enter without a visa. It's visa free for Americans, but you must leave in 90 days or apply for an extension, which does not guarantee you have more time in the country. But essentially, South Africa is a visa free for Americans. There are several others, but go ahead and Google which countries in Africa are visa free for Americans, and a list will pop up at your disposal. Okay. Yes, a lot of consistent values, Miss Ashley. Thank you. One, glow, you invest strongly. What is the minimum amount of money you should have moving to South Africa? This question is really dependent upon your lifestyle. You need to know, what is your quality of life like now? What are your costs of living where you are now, and how you can translate that to make it make sense for you. If you're a single person, maybe 3 months saved up is enough. If you've got income coming in, if you're a family, I'd say 6 months to 12 months if you have income coming in. Or if you don't have income coming in, it just really depends upon your lifestyle, your quality of life, and your risk tolerance. Oh, your stream was interrupted. Okay, sorry, Felicia. Yes, we answered. You may have to go back and replay, but it's fabulous. Dating scene is fabulous. It's amazing. Where is the link? Oh, hi, Nizali. Let me add the link for you. Let me add the link for you, my sis. There it is. Pascal, how is the environment for those of us also with aging parents? Are you going to bring your parents? It's great. It's great. Medical system, medical care is A1. You can live in a state where you've got multiple bedrooms, and your aging parent can have their own cottage, their own house. Beautiful. It's a lot better than, it's so much better. Everything is better on this side. I can't say what isn't better. Food, quality of healthcare, cost of healthcare, quality of life, cost of living, it's all better. So Edward says retired, 500K, 500K a year, 500K, what does that mean? Let me know. Drew Branch, Ashley, do you live in a gated community? I do, yes. Or you can become a dog breeder. Okay, that's a great idea. Yeah, so if you're coming with aging parent, yes, you can find a great property where they can live with you. You can hire help. You can get someone to help. So much more affordable. Like hiring someone to care for your aging parent in the US is like, if you didn't get a, what is it called? Long-term care policy before they were the age 50, it's darn near impossibly unaffordable to care for them unless you're doing it yourself, or unless I know there was a government program. I don't know if that was cut by, in some of these big government cuts where you could be paid by the government to care for your aging parents. But even here, you can hire help. It's affordable. You can get people to care for your aging parent in your home, feed them better foods, get access to more sunlight, get access to more nature, right? That's really what I think we want in our older age. We don't want to be cooped up in spaces. We want to be able to see sun. We want to be able to see mountains. We want to be able to see, waterfalls, botanical gardens, hear music, those type of things is what makes us joyful, I think, in our later years. I don't know. You let me know. House of Goddess, is 15,000 a good amount for a first-time investor or continue to grow and wait? So, investing in what? What are you investing in, House of Goddess, with 15,000? It's not a lot, but it's also not a little bit of money. I would recommend you investing in learning, right? Investing in your skill set. It depends on what you would want to invest in, right? What industry would that look like, right? You're not going to probably be able to invest in property at 15,000. Maybe in, an agency relationship, or you're exporting, or you're, doing some tourism. Like, what does that look like, right? What are you investing in? All right. Okay. I'm going to hop back in. Let's bring up Nazali. Nazali, you ready? Oh, you ready or no? Hi.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you.
So
I'm
I
so
do
happy to see your face. You just, you just moving, honey. I see you.
I'll be around.
Yes.
But
What's
it's good to
up?
see you. I do
What's
have
your
a quick
question?
question. So since
Yeah.
I've been in the States, a week now, there's been a lot of propaganda around Trump, reducing aid to South Africa. Or I don't even know if I should say his name, but the current president reducing aid to South Africa and all of that. And I know when I lived there previously, I technically was a federal government employee. So I'm wondering if there's been any rumblings of backlash against those of us who are trying to go back into the South African space as an American. I don't know if I
Yeah.
missed it earlier. I came in a little late.
No, good question. Something must be up with my network. So federal government, absolutely. Like there's beef for sure. Because the new Republican administration is, they're a bit more aggressive than the former administration. But if you are looking to go into I just wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend going into a government agency, like a US government agency. I think at this point, you're definitely going to be getting side-eyed. But if you are an American that's looking to essentially, integrate, build, and create opportunities, and you're probably just humbling yourself and not really, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think you've learned that the importance of integrating, in Africa, and it's no different here. But I do think that the government space, they're definitely kind of projecting this power that is a bit false, right? That's definitely, I think, America trying to exert this pseudo power. People are aware, and they're over it. So coming in kind of any government space is definitely gonna maybe put you in a different position that I'm sure you probably wouldn't want to be in.
Yeah, I know this go around. I don't want to work for the government. However, I just was wondering, okay, so what's the temperature like now? If I'm trying to figure out, do I need to use my U.S. passport or my Ghana passport? Which
I would
one?
use your Ghana passport, if
Yeah.
I'm being honest. But I also think that that's, to your point, propaganda, right? Because African Americans are coming to South Africa. Our partner, the Real South Africa, is doing a fantastic job of promoting every single day, multiple times a day, the services that they provide specifically to African Americans to live, to move here to South Africa. That's no coincidence. Creating this kind of fear that they're not going to be welcome, or that there's issues between Americans and South Africans, I think is very intentional. So we just have to be kind of mindful of that and not be overly indulgent in that type of content. because ultimately, my experience is our South African brothers and sisters value our presence here. They know what we're experiencing in the US, and they're like, what is taking y'all so long? You know?
Okay.
So that's my feedback. If you are South African and you feel otherwise, feel free to show up in the comments. But I don't think that that's this community. This community has been very supportive of me and my family. And like, I haven't experienced anything in the last few days, or the last few months that has been anything outside of just the comfort. It's been a little, you know, his mouth has gotten people up in an uproar here and there, but when people check in and they ask you, so how do you feel about this? And you speak on how you feel about it, I think you're in the clear.
That's good. All right.
Yeah.
Well, it was good to see you. All the best, and I'll be in touch soon.
Okay. All right. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining. Yay, people are back here. I love to see it. Hi, Michelle.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I have one
Good.
for you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you. Yes.
So I'm American and I'm here in the States and I'm married to a South African. My husband is from Pietermaritzburg near Durban, and we're considering moving. I just gave birth to my second child, and I wanted to know your opinion on the media aspect of. I know that South Africa has a lot of American companies coming there, and I wanted to know, if you were in the media industry, how does that industry look when it comes to if it's a flux of Americans coming there, as far as that are like in production or producing, working for like Netflix or, you know, different companies. How does that look far as in South Africa at this point in time, be it that South African really has a really big, strong presence when it comes to media?
Yeah, it does. So there are visas that are inviting production companies to come here and produce their content, right? So I think Steve Harvey has a production studio here in South Africa. And I'm sure that there are others, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you absolutely, there are tax breaks to be able to come and film here. Obviously, like what you're producing, how you're filming it, how you're employing the local talent is all very important. But if you've got a past portfolio of work and you submit that work, it's the Department of Entertainment, Film, Sports and Media, something like that. And they're constantly looking for people to come and film here and tell, you know, and tell the positive story about what South Africa is, who South Africans are, and how to share that story in a more relatable global narrative that is, you know, positive or even historic. There are some shows out here that aren't necessarily super positive, but they're very transparent, I think, about their challenges, and they don't shy away from speaking about their challenges, right? So that's, to me, today, I haven't heard anything that is in opposition of that, but, you know, prior to this last president being elected, I know that there were tons of production teams. Even in December, there was a Tronada. I think he came and did like a whole documentary here. Rick Ross did, you know, some kind of little docu-series here working with other South African artists, right? So if there's something that you can create where you're engaging South African talent, I don't see why it wouldn't be welcomed and received. But I don't work for the South African government, so I don't know. I just am, you know, that's my perspective.
Okay.
And then there's tons of people in the comments actually also answering the question as well. So be sure to I've got a big South African family here that can also support you in that question as well.
So last question. Since
Yeah.
I did just recently have a child, my husband actually has like 3 months off, so he plans to use it wisely. Probably to go with my 3-year-old. We're looking to probably do some type of quick schooling for him to gain some kind of cultural. What would you say to go through the state, or would it be, I'm used to like Montessori's or, the schools here in America. How does that look if I was just looking to pay for like maybe 2 months of him to have that cultural experience? Or would I hire someone to like maybe come to the house to, I mean, we eventually
Yeah.
to learn Zulu. We're
Yeah.
hoping that when his mom comes here, he will learn. Unfortunately, he has
Yeah.
a husband, but
Yes.
I'm just wondering how is the extracurricular activities for children?
Well, your baby is like a baby, right?
Well,
Congratulations too,
yeah,
by the
my
way.
baby is like she's not going. She doesn't have all her shots. I don't think she can go. I would
Yes,
love
she can.
I would,
She
but
wouldn't need shots.
so you know what the thing is that I'm still breastfeeding, and I don't know how they would get my milk. I know I can't go. I don't get 3 months off. Unfortunately, I delivered her, but I don't get the 3. I have to go back within 6 weeks. So, my husband works in the medical field, so fortunately he's off longer than me. So I would love to be able to go, but I can't. He's gonna take my oldest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I applaud you. Congratulations on your baby girl. It's quite triggering, to know like 6 weeks is like no time.
I'm seeing everything. So yeah.
Yeah, that's wild. But people in the there is Montessori school. There are Montessori schools here in South Africa. I'm not sure about Pietermaritzburg, but I do know that there are. So they have something called creche, which is like a preschool, and typically, if there's space, that preschool will allow the baby, if they're under age 6, to be able to go for a period of time. Now, I don't know if it would be like a month or 2, but you could hire like a helper, an au pair, right? Which is very affordable. And that au pair can essentially move the baby around. Is it a son? Your son?
My son is 3.
Yeah.
My daughter is
So she could, and I'm sure maybe someone here would recommend someone, right? That's how you would find someone amazing. Maybe they're college grad oftentimes, or they're still in school. They have a car. They can take, him to different parts of KZN, different, farms, get connected with like different farmers there, or the Valley of Kings. Like there's tons of different monuments in Durban and Pietermaritzburg around that part, Shaka's Rock. So just going out and your, son being exposed at 3, a lot of it they're not going to remember, right? But I think children really can connect with nature. So like in Pietermaritzburg is one of like KZN is just one of the most beautiful parts of this country. So I think really just being in nature and being out and about, going to the beach and things like that, it will really make it an amazing time. I personally wouldn't recommend him going into like a little like 4 walls during that 2 months that he's here, but being a little bit more flexible and figuring out how you can get maybe a family friend or an auntie that can keep him for a week and they speak Zulu to him, and like in 2 months he'll have some words.
Yes. Okay.
He'll definitely have some words.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, that was my question.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michelle, so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining the stream.
Thanks.
Somebody, y'all, I'm just looking at the comments, and who is saying? Someone is saying I'm misinformed. I think she's terribly informed. I'm not saying incidents like that wouldn't happen, but they're not rife at all. I don't know what y'all are talking about in the comments. Let's keep it positive. Let's keep it cute. Okay, I don't have any moderators, but if anybody wants to be a moderator in the chat, I'm not really used to going live and having this many people in at this time, but let's keep it cute, guys. Let's keep it cute, or you will be blocked. Like, I am known for a block party, and I don't really say it in advance. So this is your warning. I definitely want us to be able to have conversation, be able to provide value. Yes, provide your perspective. But I think one thing that we really want to understand is my experience may not necessarily be your experience. Your experience may not be my experience. Don't project your experience on me and people that you don't know, right? They're coming to ask questions, give your perspective, but don't completely discredit someone's experience because it's not your own, right? I value people's experience, and I recognize that I live a level of privilege that many South Africans don't get to experience, and I try my best to be responsible with that. But in our communication and in our unity building, let's just be respectful of each other's perspective without trying to completely discredit someone else because we've had a different experience. Okay, does that make sense? Is that fair? Thank you, the luxury bucket list. Okay, let me see how I make you I don't know how to do this here. Let me see if I can do this. And Dion, thank you for your patience. Oh, okay. Yes, let's find that person and let's go ahead and let's kick them out. You're coming to America as a refugee, then okay, go ahead and head on out. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. So let me see. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. You are so amazing. Yes, so Michelle Zulu, her husband is South African. And he's from Pietermaritzburg, so I'm assuming he's Zulu. So yes. Africa, you'll work in my company. Use the juice factory. I need to figure out how to do the mods. I think I can only do that. I can't do that during the live stream. I think that's the issue. Is that right? The luxury bucket list. Thank you so much. I just don't know how to make you a moderator. I think I have to do that from the YouTube platform, and I'm not streaming with YouTube platform, but I appreciate it. So go ahead and call out this person. Say something else so I can find you and I can kick you out because I'd like to do that. Click on their name and select moderate. Yes, thank you, Wisdom, but I think it's because I'm not on YouTube and it won't let me do that. So, Dion left. Sorry, Dion, come back on. I hope I didn't kick you out by accident. Thank y'all so much for being engaged. This has been amazing. If you found the stream valuable, put a 1 in the chat. I love coming here and chatting with you guys. It just means that I end up, I can do it from here. Okay. I can do it from here. Okay. Bam. There we go. Luxury bucket list. You are now a moderator. Thank you so much. Anybody else want to be a moderator? Let me know. Wisdom, were you also volunteering? In the interest of free speech, you cannot just kick out someone who makes content. I can do what I want. This is my community, right? And so I require respectful relationships. And that is a boundary that I have so that I can be my best self in relationship. And I can also support others to have safe spaces to have conversations in community, right? So my goal is that we can have open dialogue to unify. However, if someone wants to, discredit other people's experience or kind of project on their experience, then yeah, that's not allowed. That's not, if there is a lack of compassion and empathy, we don't need that here. We need compassion and empathy to unify. So if you're not unifying, you are an enemy of progress, and enemies of progress aren't allowed. So free speech is one of those things that we value, but unless we are working towards the same goal, then you don't belong in this community. Does that make sense? That's my boundary. Awesome. So thank you so much. I see all of the ones. Wonderful moderator. Love it. The Blue Wrench. Thank you so much, Luxury Bucket List. I appreciate you moderating. Let's go ahead. I plan to take a luxury trip through the real South Africa, which I can't wait for. Amazing, Erica. Let them know you joined the live stream and you heard about our partnership. They would love to hear it. If you want to work with them, you can go ahead and click the link in the description. Their link is here. We're booking trips on their behalf and collectively. Yes, Kamano, correct. Most Americans make the mistake of sticking to their American community and don't get to know the people of the country they move to. I agree. And I don't think that that's a good strategy, especially when our country is in all types of disarray and we're looking like a hot mess abroad. We need to be so intentional about integrating and creating relationships with our brothers and sisters in this new country that we want to live in. We can't go to another country and seclude ourselves, right? I think people say, oh, the Chinese do it, the Turkish do it. Yeah, they do, but we have a lot of healing to do, and that healing requires our unification, and it requires our integration, it requires our reconnection. And everybody is not going to get along, but if we're not intentional about that, we can do ourselves a disadvantage. And I've seen it happen. We need those relationships, because when things get challenging, it's not always going to be the foreigner that's going to be able to help you out of the situation. You've got to be able to make some phone calls to people that can essentially help you and support you in your new home country. So I really, really, really appreciate that statement, Kamano. Thank you for speaking up about that. Mel, what do I like best about living in SA? Oh, so many things. What do I like best, though? Do I have to pick one thing, or can I pick three? Okay, 3 things. I love the culture. I love South African culture, and everything about the culture of South Africa, being the languages, the food, the music, the diversity, right? South Africans are not just all Black, right? There are Indian South Africans, there are colored South Africans, there are Muslim South Africans, there are agnostic South Africans. And even in their differences, do they argue? Do they disagree? Absolutely. But they are very connected still, regardless, and respectful of each other, and live amongst each other. And they don't publicly, right? Like, they're going to stick together. They are going to stick together. And I love that. I love that. I also just love, wow, the quality of life. Like, South Africans know how to take time and like chill. Now, what do they call it? Groove. There can be an extreme to it, but I will say that they are very serious about holiday season. I mean, the month of December is like no work. You know, there is no work on the weekends. It's just their commitment to family and friends and those relationships is so serious. The quality of life, and not living to work or working to live, is not the way that this country is run. And that quality of life, there's, you know, the half of the reason why most of the white South Africans rejected Trump's offer is because they love living here. Their quality of life is superb. And the quality of life that they have here in South Africa, they could not find anywhere else in the world, especially for the price, the cost of living here. So quality of life is everything. And I think the beauty of this country is just breathtaking, earth-shattering. You see why Africa is struggling in the ways that it's struggling with neo-colonialism, because this continent, but this country specifically, is so beautiful. It will bring you to tears. The Drakensberg mountains, parts of KwaZulu-Natal, I mean, the botanical gardens, the oceans, the mountains is just, it's just the winelands. It is just beautiful. This country is the most beautiful country in the world. So those three things, I hope I answered. I did answer because I gave you 3 questions. Yes, the luxury bucket list, putting people in timeout. Yes, moderator, I appreciate you. What other questions do you have here? Does compassion and empathy refer to uniformity or thought? Compassion and empathy, what do you mean? Does it refer to uniformity? No, you don't have to think the same way that I think, but you can be compassionate to my perspective and not attack it or not say I'm misinformed. No, I'm well informed. I'm well informed on my perspective, and you're well informed on your perspective. So we don't need to attack each other's perspective and experience. Compassion means I respect your perspective, but that's not mine, right? This is my perspective. That's what I mean. Okay, how is the environment for the neurodivergent community? So I have a client who has an autistic son, and occupational therapist, speech therapist, physical therapist, like the top of the top. There are schools where you can, your son can thrive, where there's a focus on that, or you can hire people to come to your home, or, you can do those things. I've seen nonverbal children go from nonverbal to verbal, being exposed to certain nature elements, being exposed to certain herbs and minerals and foods that they're not able to get in the US. So I think it's probably one of the best decisions you could make for your son, is removing them from the environment that made them sick to putting them in an environment where they could heal. Is South Africa like America, or am I getting the wrong info? You're getting the wrong info. Are there similarities? Yes. But are there very stark differences? Yes. Yes. Luxury bucket list. Will SA banks know of companies for private investment? Yes, absolutely. And there's a Johannesburg Stock Exchange where where there's tons of South African public companies that are on the stock exchange here. And you can invest that through your bank, or you could open up a separate investment account. But my bank that I bank with allows me to invest in private and publicly held companies in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange here in South Africa. Oh, thank you so much, Lucky, for your kind words. Oh, and the weather. Well, the weather is fantastic, but it hasn't been fantastic in Joburg for the last week, honestly. So I can't really speak about that. Yes, get the likes up. Oh, yes, the likes are amazing. Thank you so much. What's the difference going from minority to majority country as a Black American? Ooh, what a great question. Yeah, it's so beautiful, guys. Like, oh, it's so beautiful. Okay. Standard of living seems higher than the US. Yes, better quality of life. Absolutely. Wow, what is it like going from being a minority to majority? It's an inexplainable, undescribable feeling. It's priceless. It's priceless. I remember, I'll give you guys a story. One of the main reasons why I decided to move, well, when I decided to move, it was because I realized I was living in an environment that was systemically not going to change, systemically rooted in white supremacy. Meaning, I don't have an issue today with white people. But growing up in a society that is run by white supremacy is the reason why a lot of South Africans, a lot of Africans see African Americans, we come here and we struggle with seeing white people, having relationships with white people, speaking about Blackness, you know, kind of, we struggle with that because we are raised and brought up in an environment that has always made us feel inferior to white people. Even as a light-skinned Black woman, right? I always felt inferior. I was taught that I could never do what a white girl could do. A white girl could do one thing and I had to work 10 times harder, be 10 times better, and still expect to not be as successful as her. And when Breonna Taylor was murdered in her bed by a group of police officers, I could not bear to communicate that story to my oldest daughter at the time, who was 8. And I knew that living in a white supremacist country like America, for me, was no longer possible. It wasn't possible. And at that time, I was really healing from like some serious anxiety and depression, but I was afraid to go out my house, a fear of violent mass shootings. I was just debilitated with anxiety. Thank you so much, Jessie, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm getting emotional because I realized in that moment, this was maybe May of 2020, I can't live here anymore. Like, this place is no longer safe for me. And if I can't explain this to my daughter and tell her, I can't prepare her for this. I can't prepare her for a life where she has to accept that at any moment her life can be taken from her because she is a Black girl. Like, I just can't do that to her. I cannot do that to her. And I've got to figure out something different. That was in May. And in July, I decided I was moving abroad. I moved to Tanzania. And in October, I took the flight. Actually, September. I booked the flight for October and I moved it up to September 29th. And that was my first experience in Tanzania, being, you know, just seeing Black people everywhere, Blackness everywhere. It's not as diverse in Tanzania as it is in South Africa. But what I love about South Africa is the intellectual capacity of South Africans, right? Just to be able to speak multiple languages. Your brain is like so high functioning to be able to like speak and go in between Swana and Pedi and Zulu and Xhosa. And did I say it right? Yes, like in English and all in one sentence. It's an indescribable feeling that I want all people to experience in America. I know all people won't, and I don't think all people would value it, but I think that it is something that I would never trade. I would never trade it for the world, because there is a safety, there is a confidence, there's a security that I feel in that one factor, right? It doesn't mean it's perfect. It's not a utopia, but for me, it was my why. And so when you can achieve your why with a decision, that opens up a whole and unlocks a different level of confidence, which ultimately spurred my creativity into creating this platform to ultimately share this with other people, which started with sharing it with my family and friends, and it turned to sharing it with over 77,000 family and friends all over the world. So thank you so much for asking that question. I don't know how I held back tears on that one, but there is nothing like it. And I really, really appreciate that question. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for that question. Do you guys have any other questions? I don't think so. Limpopo and Pumalanga, yes, like, oh, the blanket on Cape Town, Table Mountain, the tablecloth. It's just, I can't wait to go to Limpopo. Yes, thank you so much, Nola. Oh, thank y'all so much. What about Mauritius, though, for beauty in all the world? I haven't been to Mauritius. I cannot wait to go to Mauritius. I'm supposed to be going very soon. So when I go there, there will be an amazing, amazing, amazing content share, a huge announcement. But I'm really excited to go to Mauritius. I hear it's also just stunningly beautiful. Let's celebrate their third super on a live. This is amazing. Thank you for the super chat again, Jesse. Yes, Felicia. So question, so from the sounds of it, a person wanting to create multiple businesses would fit in perfectly in South Africa. Yes. You need to create multiple businesses. You don't need to create multiple businesses. Create one good business and you'll be welcomed with open arms, right? You'll be giving and adding value. Now, I'm not saying you need to do that immediately, but I am saying that that's the long-term goal. We're coming here to connect, to build together. We're not saving anybody. We're not teaching anything. We're collaborating together to ultimately provide the best trajectory for Africans and, you know, people from the diaspora together collectively to grow and to live in just a better lifestyle, better environment. Cape Town in Europe, if I may say, it's a fun place to vacate and live in if you're mature about politics. Yes, 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 yes. Welcome you. We need more open-minded people like you. Thank you so much, JP60. Thanks, I got maturity covered. I stay away from politics. The hospitality is the best thing. Yes, it's amazing. Drew, I don't understand your question. We are because you are. Thank you so much. Ubuntu, Tuko Pamoja. Any more questions? Thank you so much. This has been amazing. I know Port Elizabeth, I want to go there. Eastern Cape, the Garden Route, the Western Cape. Listen, I'm not done exploring this country. I love South Africa. Listen, I am so grateful to have been welcomed into this country with open arms. It hasn't been easy, but anything easy isn't worth anything. Well, that's not true. That's a limiting belief. Listen, I'm willing to show my commitment and give effort while also receiving covering grace and protection in the process. And I feel that I have done that. I feel that I've received that. I feel that I get that. I feel so loved, so humbled, so connected. And if I have anything to do with it, I love South Africa, and this is where I will always be. And I'm grateful to have that option and to have trusted myself enough and trusted the creators implantation of that desire, and that the creator is working through me to be able to share these opportunities with other people, create platforms for other people to share other opportunities for us to collectively grow, because that's one thing that we have not been able to accomplish is unity. Right? We are so inundated with media and propaganda and fear, and we have a unique opportunity. This is the best time in history that we are experiencing right now, and we get to do this collectively together. And I'm just honored to be able to do this with y'all. Thank y'all for joining the live stream. Listen, we want to see you at the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. It's going to be packed with value, resources, experts, guides, contacts for you to be able to do business and invest in tourism, agriculture, real estate, mining, and creative industries. This is the best time ever in the history of any time we've ever been living in to acquire wealth, but to acquire community, and for us to be able to do that in friendly ways, collective ways, with other people, like-minded people who are taking action to build what is the most powerful continent in the 21st century. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for joining us. Click the link in the description to join us in the Africa Investors Academy Virtual Summit. I will see you there. And until the next video, I'll see you guys soon.